first into that game, and we know that it can put some pretty scary field.
Yeah, exactly that. We saw Benjamin get tested, his knowledge of how to play around the certain mole chummies. We saw him pivot around Perulio. We also saw him pivot around the Meowis. We know how devastating the Horus the factor with inside the Crystron strategy in the deck is going to really, really work. And that's kind of just what makes it a little bit more versatile against all of these different strategies.
Yeah, absolutely. And he's starting with the normal summon of Siren, and he's going to declare the effect, which will lock him for only summoning machine synchro monsters until the end of the turn. And he's going to special summon the Tristaros, which is so important for the strategy. Not only does he have an on-field effect, which allows him to special summon on quick effect, but also a graveyard effect, but he's going to stop his turn right there. It doesn't have a lot, and yeah, normal summoning the Siphon is not the best way to start your turn, but here Cormac with 6 cards in hand, and we know that the Ryzeal Mitsurugi strategy is very, very strong. It can punish a lot of low field, and this is a hell of a low field.
Yeah, unfortunately, Benjamin wasn't able to be as explosive as we have previously seen. One thing to remember, though, and this is something that I try to make sure every viewer and every duelist trying to remember, is you also need to count the amount of cards that have been played and then try to figure out or deduce what could be left. On this assumption here, we're going to be seeing Benjamin work his way into a Synchro Summon play. We still have 1 trap card, which is unknown, and then those cards that have been Benjamin's hand that could still form a line of disruption. If we take a quick look at his actual main deck, there are Ash Blossoms to consider, Draw and Lock Birds, which we know can be quite good against the Mitsurugi and even the Ryzeal strategy. And when you're starting off with something like Preparation of Rites, that's a card that really does kind of scream to your opponent to Ash it or to allow it to resolve and then draw and lock it down.
And we saw that because during the last round, Cormac had to face 4 Draw and Lock Bird, considering the fact that there was also a set one, which was not very effective, but still he managed to get to top 4. He told us during the interview that he had been prepared for these Draw and Lock Birds, and on resolution, Benjamin doesn't have anything to activate, so no Draw and Lock Bird, and this is a very good normal summon because we have the normal summon int. It's gonna get Imperm, but we know that Cormac will probably have something else to just continue and keep going.
Yeah, well, we know that we've been able to add 2 cards off of the back of the Preparation of Rites. It looks like we're going to be revealing the Habakuri in the hand in order to net more advantage on this one. I feel the Ice is a very, very difficult card because once you normal summon it, it's such a tempting card to interact with, and I think that's why these 2 strategies, the Mitsurugis and Ryzeals, work so well together. And being able to see here the Ash Blossom on the Saji's Tribute, this is one very important thing that was picked up for the previous streams as of yesterday, is a lot of people would be so eager to Ash Blossom the reveal of the Habakuri. Remembering that the Habakuri is once per duel, then being able to hit with the Saji, and it looks straight away when we're activating that Mitsurugi ritual, we're going to be chaining the FA Dawn Dragster to negate that, to make sure that that doesn't resolve. And even with a very minimal board, it seems that Benjamin is piloting this very well and being able to take 1 for 1 going back and forth, with still maintaining a bit of hand advantage here. Ooh.
And yeah, we have the talent, and we are going to put back the Vader, and we have the second ritual spell. Cormac told us that he wanted to have those 3 ritual spells in the main deck because he wanted to be able to resolve them as much as possible. And yeah, it is going to be it, I guess, for Cormac. He has everything he needs to just end the game. And the problem is that Benjamin, he wanted to have this synchro stick on the field because he wanted to have the effect of the Tristaros to be able to bring him engine on his next turn, but looks like he doesn't have the ability to keep his monsters there.
Yeah, I feel from this point on that the Triple Tactics talents has really kind of changed the game on this one. Being able to get access to knowledge of that effect Vela kind of stops any type of effect. Would have allowed Benjamin to keep the FA Dawn Dragster on the field. It does then mean if there are any other effects that Cormac might try to activate on this one, it could then have met it. So the talents is playing a very, very big role in this to kind of solidify exactly what Cormac wants to present to his field, and then being able to kind of move his way to the all-important victory of round 1, and from that point on, it starts to come down to the side deck and kind of seeing what Benjamin can kind of pull forward. But we have seen this before. We've seen Benjamin's back up against the wall against Ubel. We've seen him kind of fight back from it. We've also seen that the possibilities of facing a Mitsurugi Ryzeal during Swiss has prepared him for a scenario like this, and I feel as you have plenty of time left on the clock, now is probably the point to take in the information, see exactly what Cormac wants to do, to tackle this one, and see what Cormac can also produce to move their way to the final.
Absolutely, and Cormac in the driver's seat right now, but Benjamin starting with a way better normal summon. He starts with the 3-stars protecting himself, and then he is going to activate the Mseri effect and discarding the turtle to the graveyard, which is pretty cool because the turtle has an engrave effect. It can banish itself to just special summon any Crystron monster from the hand, which is pretty cool because it's kind of an extend. Now we are going to activate the sarcophagus and special summon the M set. We have the effect of the sarcophagus discarding the effect Veiler, so we decided to just get the Veiler in the graveyard, which could have been an interesting disruption during Cormac's turn, but we decide that it's not the most important. We have to put our threats on the field, and we are putting the Happy in the graveyard, which leads us to 2 monsters, level 8 monsters, and now we can overlay those ones to be able to mill 4 cards with the Zombie Vampire.
Yeah, exactly that. These are the kind of the make and break kind of moments for a player's decision making. When you decide to discard something like an effect Veiler that on the premise or on the... No, is the camera gone as well?
It doesn't work. We'll have to put it back again.
Okay, so still live. We got no screen. Apologies on that one. We've just had a bit of a technical glitch here. We have lost the live stream or the view to the table on this one. We're just going to be waiting for that one to come back up. But as we were mentioning on this one, we did see the last thing that the Zombie Vampire was summoned. You also need to kind of keep in mind that what we're going to be looking for is the risk and reward of being able to discard something along the lines of an effect Veiler. If you do discard an effect Veiler, it kind of means that you're valuing the extension a little bit more, and you feel a bit more confident with the cards that you're going to be able to get access to. When you're trying to get access to those particular type of cards to perform another form of disruption, as we saw with the Zombie Vampire allows you to extend that bit more. It can be a bit risky, as you are also going to be working towards a Nibiru territory, and when you do work into a Nibiru territory, that's when you're going to be able to work on that one. We're just going to attempt to pause the... Are we pausing that? We had power back. Okay, we're back live. We're back live. Apologies for that, everyone watching at home. We had a bit of a technical glitch. You can never really trust technology. You can hear in the background everybody celebrating. So as we try and catch back up on this one, it looked like we resolved the Zombie Vampire. We were able to excavate some more cards, and then we're going to be able to work into what looks like a synchro play. You can tell that the reason that we have the Mitsurugi Prez in the graveyard would have been excavated off the back of the Zombie Vampire. Doesn't look like we've missed too much as we see the Crystron Citri hit the field. So apologies for that one, Duelists at home. We are continuing on. No life point change on this at all.
And we are going to put the LS Calatis in graveyard, and we are going to be able to activate this effect and get access to another card from the graveyard or the banished. Probably, yeah, here we have access to another level 5, which means that we can just go into Nova and Infinity. Remember that those are Cyber Dragon cards, one of the best archetypes.
Yeah, exactly that. I really do like how Infinity is quite an infectious card. I remember coming back in Breakers of Shadow way back when, and always trying to kind of undervalue how important it is when it can not only negate a card, but the absorption effect can be quite useful. I can imagine that maybe we don't want to leave the Zombie Vampire on the field so much here, but when we do take a look at the side deck of Cormac, we've got Artifact Lancers, we haven't seen them used. We've also got Meowis, and we haven't seen those used. So you're kind of trying to deduce exactly what could be in the hand of Cormac. There are a couple of field breakers in there, 2 Lightning Storms and a Harpy's Feather Duster. Right now, when you're looking at this, the Harpy's Feather Duster isn't looking too appealing, doesn't see that you're going to get much value out of it. But then when you consider the Lightning Storms, that might be something that Benjamin will try to play around by putting more of his monsters in defense position. The only one at risk right now is the Infinity, and the reason that you would leave Infinity in attack is because his attack stats are going to increase. Its defense stats, unfortunately, do not. I feel we're going to be working our way into a Synchro Summon, maybe something like the FA Dawn Dragster. And when you are putting cards on the field like the Infinity, like the Dawn Dragster, you don't really want to be using their negates on something like a Lightning Storm when it is avoidable by playing in a slightly more reserved or defensive manner, which is exactly what we're seeing here.
Yeah, he decided to just summon the Dragster, and we have 2 set cards, as you just said. We have some very cool set cards that are possible. For example, the Solemn Judgment that is in Benjamin's side. So it could be a very, very cool card, especially considering the fact that it can negate not only the ritual, but also some summons of some very cool monsters like the Detonator, or even something like Exiton.
Yeah, I think Exiton right now, especially when you need to keep in mind that the Ryzeals are still very much a feature of Cormac's deck. We haven't seen that as of yet. We did see the inclusion of Ice, but now we're going to be see X. X is going to be able to kind of pull out one form of interaction here by being able to chain block itself. And I feel that this is where a possible infinite impermanence may come into play if there is one. Other than that, the Infinity, you're probably going to leave it as it is. I mean, it's going to take the negation.
Yeah.
You kind of don't really want to afford using a monster effect right now, which wouldn't really gain you any advantage, just in case there is that Triple Tactic Talents in Cormac's hand. No guarantee, but why run into that so early and then have to face a Triple Tactic Talents possibly taking the FA Dawn Dragster away from you, or then still taking that negation away from the FA Dawn Dragster?
And now we see all the power of all the Ryzeal cards. You see 1 Ryzeal, you see 10 Ryzeal, literally, because yeah, the X just brought the sword on the field, and now we are threatening the opponent from going into an Xyz, XYZ rank 4, and this is very scary because of course there is the Exiton. As we just said, there is maybe a Judgment, which is set, which is a very good card, but still, we don't do anything on the side of Benjamin.
Yeah, I feel the next XZs that is going to be played here, it could be a couple of options. It could be King of the Feral Imps. That will kind of dictate that Cormac may not have access to his Mitsurugi engine and might want to try and bridge that way. You also have Dual Drive as a possible option just to kind of get you as much advantage as you can, but I don't feel that there is enough advantage by going down that route. I think exactly like you mentioned, the Exiton Knight is a definite possible one on this. And we're going for Castel the Sky Blaster.
Very interesting here. Castel, which is usually used for his type and attribute, but has also an on-field effect, which lets him get rid of an opponent's card.
Yeah, so this is actually quite interesting. He doesn't actually play Harpy's Featherstorm in the main or side, and I could only imagine, as a hypothetical on this one, that Castel would have been detaching 2 materials to try and return a card from the field to the hand. More than likely that FA Dawn Dragster. Quite an interesting choice to go for, but it's going to get met instantly with the Crystron cluster.
I think here, yeah, you just want to force the interaction with your opponent. You want to try to remove every single card that you don't know, one by one. Here, now you know the cluster, which was set, which is a very good card, because every single turn it lets you recycle some Crystron cards from your graveyard or your banishment, but also it lets you destroy some cards on your opponent's side. And we are continuing. Oh, you you are not getting this special summon from the ice because there is the judgment on the normal summon. So another card used here. We talked about that earlier, and this is a very strong sided card which is used here by Benjamin.
That normal summon hit the field, from Benjamin's perspective, exactly that. You save the judgment for it, you get rid of it. You don't really need to worry about too much. You've traded cards 1-for-1 at the moment. We've gone X has traded for Cyber Dragon Infinity in that kind of case. We've traded Castel the Sky Blaster for the cluster. We still have Dawn Dragster online, and we've traded the Judgment for a Ice Ryzeal. So now it's really going to come down to just how much further can Cormac push to try and play around that FA Dawn Dragster, which you can imagine is probably going to stop the Mitsurugi Ritual or Prayers with the 2 remaining cards left in Cormac's hand as well.
But remember that Cormac is playing a lot of rituals. He's playing 3 ritual Mitsurugi, but also the mirror in his main deck. So the Dawn Dragster might save you if he has only access to 1, but if he has access to 2, it will be way harder for Benjamin. Still, Benjamin, he has all these monsters on the field, and Cormac still has to break this field. But there is this threat, which is the Murakumo. So Cormac is going to try to special summon this Murakumo by all means, and Benjamin is going to attempt to prevent him from doing that. He still has a Dragster guard in hand, and also a very good Rhine game. And here is the Ritual Mitsurugi, which gets activated by Cormac. And it's going to get negated by the Dragster. Of course, is there a second one, or is there anything else that Cormac can do to try to stay in this game?
Yeah, well, was it a Habakuri that was revealed in order to get access to the Saji to then tribute for the ritual? So if that's the case, we know that one of the 2 cards in Cormac's hand is, of course, going to be the Habakuri. The other card is the Triple Tactic Talent again. Looking at the hand, taking away the Sulfur just so that Benjamin doesn't have that follow-up. And there is Prez with the Habakuri.
That is a very good one. Of course, Talent during this whole weekend has always been such a great card. It allows to just watch the hand, be able to get rid of card from the opponent's hand. And that is very, very valuable information, of course, if you have some cards to play, and here Cormac has those cards. Benjamin has nothing more to activate because, of course, the Infinity has been negated at the beginning of the turn, so he just has to watch his opponent try to get rid of the field.
I think it's also quite interesting to see that I believe the Aramasa was excavated off of the Zombie Vampire at the start of the duel. So it kind of limits the cards you could technically have access to, being able to have to revive that back from the graveyard. Maybe he sided out the other Mitsurugi, or that other Mitsurugi is currently locked in his hand for the Kusanagi. We do know that there is now a Habakuri left in the hand. I'm curious as to how much further Cormac can push through this.
Yeah, absolutely, and he definitely has to win the game right now. Otherwise, as we said, Benjamin has so much power in the graveyard, because that's the power of the Crystron cards. If you don't end the game, they will have literally another hand in the graveyard, because you can just banish all those Crystron cards, get access to some more bodies, get access to some more adding from the deck to the hand, or even special summoning some monsters. So it's going to be very scary for Cormac right now, and Benjamin, he's just waiting and hoping that he will have another turn, and I think he might get one.
Yeah, I think the judges are just talking to Cormac now at the moment, trying to see what we've got. It looks like we've added another Mitsurugi Ritual and the Habakuri. We're still going to have that ability to Ritual summon, possibly from the deck here, using the Habakuri that is in the hand, which would lead into the Makumo. Makumo, again, providing that full field destruction or that full monster destruction. Unfortunately, the Smyger will end up in the graveyard, which is a semi-benefit for Benjamin, but we also need to remember that Benjamin has paid half his life points for the Judgment. So with the Aramasa plus the Makumo, unless there is a line of protection for Benjamin, this could be lethal.
Yeah, and what a game. There is so much tension because, of course, the winner of these top 4 will be able to try to get the title, to try to become the UK champion for this year. Will he be able to win there? Looks like so. Murakumo is gonna get the damages, and then it's gonna be a lot of damages. Only 800 life points for Benjamin. Just waiting.
Yeah,
for-
oh, so the, apologies, the arrow master was summoned off of prayers correctly, wasn't it? So it can't attack directly. Is that right?
It is right.
Yeah, okay.
You are right.
So he does survive that one turn. Okay, the heart of the cards is still there. Still there. Whoa.
And 800 life points, it's enough because he's not playing something like Matty, so he doesn't have to pay some life points. So
Yeah.
it is more than enough because he has all those tools in the graveyard. Of course, we have the Murakumo, which will be able to just negate an effect, but Benjamin is going to draw for turn. Remember, okay, there is the Lancia. This is a great one, of course, because it prevents the Crystron from activating the effects from the graveyard. But we also have something really good for Benjamin because we have access to this sarcophage on the field. So we are able to summon back all the horror cards, which are pretty decent, to be honest.
Yeah, we still have the Crystron cluster in rotation, plus the one card that is unknown drawn for turn from Benjamin, which, if it's a Tristanos, that could be very, very useful. We do need to also keep in mind that Cormac does play Gargaga Cowboy, so unfortunately for Benjamin, he's on a bit of a ticking along, and a Call by the Grave on the Insetti. Going to chain the Crystron cluster is going to be very, very disappointing on that one. You can still get Happy back from the graveyard off of the King's Sarcophagus, and maybe this could be a bit of a premature option, but if that card drawn for turn for Benjamin isn't that effective, we could have the ability to discard the card through the King's Sarcophagus and then revive the Imseti still. So we have a possible route to 2 level 8s on the field. Maybe we just take it into a Horus control. Because remember, both of them have additional effects. And if I remember correctly, the Happy actually has a very, very good effect to allow Benjamin to regain some resource.
Absolutely, he has the effect to get back some resources from the graveyard or the banished zone, which is pretty cool, but it's not gonna lead him to victory. So he's gonna have to deal with the Lancia, which is wow, this is something. The Lancia, the call by, so many threats, and
see, this is very fascinating that I do actually like about this. Sorry to cut you off on that one, but the Happy being able to attack gets you utilize the King Sarcophagus to get rid of the Makumo. We're now in a position where Benjamin needs to try and stop the Arrow Master getting access to another level 4. If another level 4 hits the field, I'm afraid it could be Gargaga Cowboy.
Absolutely, and yeah, it is gonna be suffocating because Cormac is gonna have a lot of things to do during his turn. Of course, we have access to the cluster during Cormac's turn, so we might be able to just destroy the Gagaga before it activates its effect, because it's not an unsummon effect. But still, it's a very scary situation.
Yeah, exactly that. I feel that we're in this odd scenario where Cormac's got a couple of options available to him. It really comes down to if there is another level 4 monster in hand.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it is. We're going into game 3.
Which is probably one of the best decks to have some power like that. And on top of that, he has to deal with 6 very strong sided cards like the Solemn Warning and the Solemn Strike that you just mentioned. So we see in Benjamin's hand the Lightning Storm that you mentioned. So is Cormac gonna get the cards that he needs to just prevent Benjamin from activating this Lightning Storm? That is the question.
Yeah, I feel for Benjamin as well. You want to see Lightning Storm so much. When you see one, you're ecstatic, but when you see that second one appear, it's not as good for the pure fact that unless the activation is negated, the second one is going to become more surplus to requirements. It looks like Benjamin has a hand of 4 spell cards and 1 monster. It doesn't look like that monster is going to be a Charmy, and it does look like we're being able to fully resolve the Ryzeal X, moving into the Ryzeal Sword, being able to present the field that is going to work into what could possibly be a duo drive, but I don't believe, let's have a look, there is a duo drive in here. There is no cross, so we're not going to be working our way towards that. We've already gone through Sword and Ice, so we're just going to be going straight for the King of the Feral Imps and trying to move our way into the Mitsurugi strategy.
Yeah, and this is very scary because here he's gonna just full combo and have access to all the tools that he needs to just get the victory and go into the finals. And Benjamin, it's gonna revolve around his ability to just break the field with only his engine and probably maybe this lightning storm, but it's gonna be very hard. If he wins this one, it's gonna be a great one, and it's gonna be a statement going into the finals, because if he's able to break a full Mitsurugi field, well, wow, that's performance.
Yeah, exactly that. I feel you've got to be slightly confident if you're Cormac right now. You're activating all of your core cards. There's no responses to them. You're checking off the hand trap list in your head. This card isn't this card isn't this. One card he does need to be very, very cautious of, which could be that one monster in Benjamin's hand, would be the Nibiru. Looking at the spells that Benjamin has available to him, we know 2 of them are going to be Lightning Storm. The other spells that could be possibly available to him would be the Crystron, Inclusion, plus King Sarcophagus or Foolish Burial. All of those in their own right can act as a form of starters. So even though there's 4 spells and 1 monster in the hand, Benjamin could still have the access to get everything going that he needs to. And a Nibiru, well-timed, could really put an end to Cormac's Enfield.
We are going to see that, but for now, there is the ritual Mitsurugi, which is activated, and of course, it resolves. So Cormac is more than happy to see that resolving. He's going to get access to the ritual once again with the Kusanagi, and the Murakumo is on field. So if, and I say if, there is a Nibiru, well, he's going to be able to summon it back from the graveyard and to have access to another Mitsurugi card. So he's pretty fine right now.
Yeah, taking a look at what else could possibly be in Benjamin's hand as we watch Cormac strategically set up his field while also making sure he maintains a lot of resource. We haven't even seen that much resource invested in this field as of yet. Going for the preparation of Ryzeal, now that you're feeling fully comfortable, there's no draw and lot bet around, is just going to kind of solidify that hand advantage even more.
And water card, remember Cormac has decided to include those cards in his Ryzeal Mitsurugi. Usually we don't see those cards being included. It's more with the pure Mitsurugi version of the deck, but he said that it's more a Mitsurugi Ryzeal than a Ryzeal Mitsurugi, because he just thinks that those cards are very, very powerful, and that the Ryzeal are just here to just support this strategy. And it works for now. It really works. So if there is Nibiru, it would be a great timing to just drop this this Nibiru here, because yeah, we see the Node, the Ice, and also the Sagi on the field. So a lot of level 4, and we know that the strategy of this deck revolves all around the XYZ 4. And we are going to see another XYZ. Remember, we are 12 minutes away from the end of this round. So no rush still, but we have to take that into account.
Yeah, exactly that. You've got to remember as well that when you're playing top 4, no matter which side of the bracket you're on, you're going to be putting so much energy, so much brain power into this. And you've got to keep in mind there could possibly be one more round after this. So even in the break, you don't really want the clock ticking to 0, because the more time you spend in this duel, the less time you're going to have to take a reset of the next one. And then that's kind of what you need to do to kind of decompress, get your head set back on right, and then move from it. It looks like we're going to be able to back up the Makumo with the all-important detonator. Detonator also, for a little bit of extra measure, attaching the equipped twins back from the graveyard, so that we have that option to revive should we need to, or should it be cleared off the field.
And Waterfield, we see now the mirror being activated, so we are going to have one more ritual monster on the field. And yeah, it doesn't look great for Benjamin, because we see that the monster being used is I think it was it the Futsu? It was the Futsu, yeah.
Yeah,
being used in the graveyard, and we are bringing back the Habakiri.
Yeah, exactly. And then, unfortunately, I do feel that that monster in Benjamin's hand is an Imseti. Not the worst monster to have, but by any means, you kind of want to have some form of interaction. And we're going to be set for this Lightning Storm could be incredibly massive. I do feel that there are judgments and warnings along those spells and traps, alongside of prayers. And Benjamin is going to be drawing his 6th card for his turn. We're going to be starting off with that Lightning Storm.
It's going to resolve. It is going to resolve. That is the question.
I feel that we definitely have to train. Ooh, this is going to be very, very interesting. So even by activating the Mitsurugi trap card, which will negate the Lightning Storm, this is where the benefit of having that secondary, the secondary Lightning Storm on this one. But unfortunately, it only negates the effect. It doesn't negate the activation, so a second Lightning Storm can't even be activated. That is the perfect trap card. If Cormac could have cherry-picked anything more, that's exactly what he was going to want to protect him from a card like Lightning Storm. And unfortunately from this one, we have said it before, but it does look like Benjamin is up against it again. If he's going to be getting into that final, he's definitely going to be doing it the hard way.
Oh yeah, and it's going to be very hard because of course the Crystron monsters, they like to stay on the field, especially the spell card, the Inclusion, which is a continuous spell, which is very good on field and also in the graveyard. But yeah, the problem is that you have a detonator in front of you, and he has 3 materials, so you're going to have to face 4 destructions, and I think this is a lot more than what the Crystron deck can just afford to get destroyed.
Yeah, exactly that. If we were to count through Benjamin's hand, if that second Lightning Storm would have been useful for him, that would make a bit of a difference because that's 3 more unknown cards. You can probably guess that there would possibly be a Prayers along them, but you probably don't predict that there's a Solemn Warning and a Solemn Strike, which would deal with quite a lot right now. If he was to activate his Imseti from the hand, that would probably be met with the Solemn Strike. If he tries to normal summon, that might get hit with the Solemn Warning, and we're basically cutting off both of the direct accesses that Benjamin's trying to go for. And I feel at this moment, when we're trying to activate the Crystron, it could very well easily be met with one of those cards, or you're just going to make sure that you can bring back the Makumo when he wants to, and also need to worry about the detonator. There's just so much going on Cormac's field right now. But all credit to Benjamin where it's due. He is not giving up. He is not quitting this game until that life point counter hits 0 on either side. So keep going, and we're going to be trying to see which one of these duelists will be the first into the final for UK Nationals.
Yeah, as you said, he's still trying to fight, but this is an unfair fight. There is even an Ash Blossom in Cormac's hand, and it should just seal the deal here because the Sulfafnir will not be able to resolve, so only 2 or 3 cards in hand, and we see the Imseti that you talked about with the second Lightning Storm. But there is the Solemn Strike, another card here to just prevent Benjamin from playing, and it's gonna be very hard. Cormac is gonna take it all and just go into the finals. We are still trying to fight with the Inclusion in the graveyard. I told you that it was able to banish itself, and it is to special summon back a monster from the graveyard. Here we are trying to just special summon the Sulfador, and Murakumo was activated, so we have to discard 1 card. But here, I'm not sure the Sulfafnir will just stay on the field very long.
Yeah, I think on this one there's just too many responses from Cormac on this one. The Ash was added information on it, or just added usefulness on that one, being able to be backed up with a Solemn Strike. The Detonator and the Makumo haven't even twitched. They don't feel like they need to be utilized on this one. We're going to be activating the Sulfafnir, attempt to use the effect.